still ahead, setting you and your partner up for marriage success. Our friend and family lawyer, Tracy Coates, here with some advice that every engaged couple needs to hear before they walk down the aisle. We are still in the month of love. Valentine's Day, about a week back it was. Many couples took their love to the next level, though, with a romantic Valentine's Day engagement. But now comes the real work.
Yeah, get down to the nitty gritty. It's never too early to start building a strong foundation for a successful marriage. And here are some steps to help navigate the road from engagement to I do. As top family attorney Tracy Coates, our good girlfriend. Tracy, welcome back. I'm just going to step out on a limb here and say things start to pick up for you generally around this time.
They do, with the holiday of Valentine's Day that just passed us, and then people are starting to think about, okay, what do I need to do to prepare for a successful marriage? And one of the things that we talk about are prenups.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about how finances really play a role in that next step in marriage, and maybe how soon you should be having that conversation. Is that a right out the gate conversation you should be having, or is that maybe, we'll wait a few months, see how the engagement is going. Let the honeymoon phase settle down.
Absolutely. One of those I do, and then let's plan. I think that you should start talking about it pretty soon after. I mean, maybe give it 48 hours at least or something like that. But then let's talk about what you need to do to set yourselves up for success. So one of the things, and just starting with why marriages fail, some of the top three are communication, finances, and infidelity, unfortunately. So one of the things that I always tell people is let's have a good background of how to communicate, how to resolve issues, how to talk about things that may or may not be a little tense, things that are not always happy, good lucky and all of that right now when you're planning for a wedding. And then moving into that financial conversation that you were just talking about. Because, for example, your fiance may or may not want this big, huge wedding, or you may have thought about, flying and eloping someplace and having a destination wedding, and then how is that getting paid? Who gets to be invited? Who gets more guests than the other? Those all come into play this time of year.
And when it comes to, I guess, attorneys like yourself, should each person have their own or share the attorney?
100% everybody needs their own attorney. And it may seem like, why? This is a positive experience. We're getting along. We've talked about certain things. But really, you need to protect your own interests. And everybody has their own interests. Somebody may be bringing in more assets into a marriage. Some people may have trust funds, inheritance, things like that we need to protect. And so I think the conversation to at least know what you're getting into, because it is, a legal exploration when you talk about marriages.
How do you navigate that fine line of, I'm not trying to offend you, but I'm also trying to protect myself at the same time?
It's really hard. That's a really good question, because it's very, very hard. And sometimes you just have to trust that the person that you're with will respect and understand sort of where you're coming from. And if you have that open communication as to why you want to protect yourself, I think that goes a long way. And then sometimes I have clients that don't say anything. It's their parents that want them to protect. So the conversation is already ahead.
Parents know. Been there, done that. They're like, okay, this is what you need to look into. One thing I was kind of shocked to see, and we've covered this couple, now former couple, extensively here on Good Day DC, Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck, and the fact with all that they have with their assets, they did not have a prenup.
They did not have a prenup, which in a lot of ways shocked me when I heard that, because these are big, huge celebrities that have a lot of assets, that have a lot to protect. But I think at the end of the day, they're sort of like you and I, and they were trusting in love, trusting in the process. This is the second time around for both of them. And so, or more than second time around. You've been together.
It's like a 20-year back and forth thing.
Yes. So, I think that's sort of, they just stepped out on faith and decided, hey, let's see if we can make this work.
Let's talk a little bit about what you can include in a prenup, because really the list is kind of limitless.
You can include almost anything, obviously, that's not illegal, that's not against public policy, and that you can't, unfortunately, include things about children. So you can't do schedules, child support, those types of things, because that's under a best interest standard at the time that those issues are being decided. But everything else in terms of, is your income during the marriage going to be marital, or is it going to be separate? How is your retirement going to be divided? Because without a prenup in our area, each spouse gets 50% of the marital share. How are you going to pay for bills during the marriage? Are you going to have a joint account and each of you deposit its money into this account, or a percentage, and that's what you use? Or do each of you sort of keep your separate accounts and those will be separate? I mean, there's so many. Pets are another really good one, especially in this area. We have a variety of different pets in the DC area. And so you can absolutely include things about your pets, which I think is a really, really smart thing to do, because if one party gets attached to a pet that you feel like, well, I brought the pet into the marriage, then that could kind of be a little tricky in trying to play that.
Instead of just standing in the middle and the pet goes whichever way it likes the best.
You can't take half. You can't take half of that.
Who has the treat in their hand at the time that you're saying, come with me?
Unfortunately, that is not legal and binding, is it? Tracy, always love having you on. Good to see you.
Thank you both.